Good morning, dear students. Now we are talking about the contribution of different sectors to employment. And we know in the last class we have discussed about the different sectors of the economy, primary sector, secondary sector, and tertiary sector. And what are the contributions by these different sectors for the employment? As I'm just going to the details in a very brief, that is a primary sector in India, which is largely depend on the availability of the natural resources in order to manufacture of goods and also to execute the various processes. The service in this sector entirely depend on the availability of the natural resources in order to keep the day-to-day operations of their life. And also the sector provide a large amount of employment to the economy, and it contribute a lot for the national income of the economy. And about the secondary sector, the same thing is available in the case of secondary sector also. That is, the economies depend on the natural ingredients which are used to create the service and product of food, and which are used for the total GDP of the economy also, and also for the tertiary sector. As we all know, the importance of the tertiary sector in the last slides and all, I have given you examples and all for this tertiary sector. And we should know what are the features of employment. This is about the primary sector, secondary sector, and tertiary sector. Then about the features of the employment, I hope in the degree classes you have studied about what are the types of employment and what are the unemployment, what are the types of unemployment you have seen. And I'm not going to the deep of all these things because you just have to make a basic foundation of what is employment and what are the features of employment and what are the problems of employment structure in India. Then apart from this, you should know a study of the employment types and the living style of the people, given information of some of the important three terms, that is national income, employment structure, management of human resources. And it will help to like national income. It's a broad area. We have already studied what is national income and aggregate of the national income. And employment has a good place to determine the national income of the country. And all these sectors, primary, secondary, and tertiary sector also provide a lot of growth contributing factors for the national income of the economy and also for the employment of the economy. Then the employment structure, you have studied a lot of employment structure in the economy. Then that also will be giving a lot of importance for the total growth, and apart from this, total GDP, gross domestic product of the economy, and gross national product of the economy. And I'm just giving a discussion about unemployment happening in the economy, and I'm not giving to the details, but I'm just focusing on the unemployment structure of the economy. Then I can go to the types of service sector. Service sector is categorized into the following, that is primary sector, secondary sector, and tertiary sector. And we have already discussed about the primary sector and all, service sector and its contributory factors. Then primary sector has a maximum percentage of workforce, that is about 66% in the rural area and 9% in the urban area. In the primary sector, men account of about 43% and women account to about 62.8% of the workforce. The total percentage of workforce in the primary sector accounts for about 48.9%. In the note I'm providing, I've given all these figures. Secondary sector has 16% of the workforce in the rural area and 31% of the workforce in urban area. In the secondary sector, women account to about 20% of the workforce and men account to about 25.9% of the workforce. The total percentage of the workforce in the secondary sector is about 24.3. The tertiary sector has 17.4% of the workforce in rural area and about 60% of the workforce in urban area. You have to notice the difference between these two. The tertiary sector, as we all know, is the most important sector that provides a lot of contribution for the GDP, also the workforce, GV and all. But the difference you have to notice, that is 17.4% of the workforce in the rural area and 60% of the workforce in the urban area. In the tertiary sector, women account to 17.2% of the workforce and men to about 30.5% of the workforce. percentage of the employment, that is workforce in the tertiary sector, is about 26.68 percentage. So that's very important, that the trends in the employment you have to see from 1972 to 73 to 2011 12 to, and all these stages you have to find out what are the trends in employment, what you have seen by analyzing all these sectors. I've just given a figure, that is a table of the contributory factors of, that is agriculture, market forces and non-market services to the total growth of the economy. The service sector accounts for 53.66% of the total India's GVA of 137.51 lakh crore Indian rupee. The industrial sector contributes 29.02% with GVA of rupees 39.9 crore. That is the one thing you have to make it in clear, that if you are concentrating your studies on all these three sectors, service sector is the most important sector that would be contributing a lot to the employment, also to the economy. We know what are the importance of the employment and why we are employed. And if you are not employed, what would be the ultimate effect to the total national income of the economy? Because national income is aggregated like some total by the total per capita income of the economy. Total per capita income is depending on your income, that is ultimately depending on your employment structure. So it has a great correlation between all these things to the total conversion of the GDP. So that's very important. I just given all these figures in the notebook which I provided. So this is about the structural variations of all the sectors for the total employment of the economy. This is all about the workforce of the economy. The workers working in the public sector on the enterprise who hire other workers to get the work done are known as formal workers. Then there are informal workers also. All these things you have studied at budget, but then I just made a discussion of what is formal workers and informal workers. Formal workers account to about 6% of the workforce in India, while the other 94% of the workforce are informal workers. In the formal sector, only 21% of the workers are women. On the other hand, in the informal sector, about 31% of the workers are women. Unemployment in India is of different types. We have seen all these things. Then the most important 10 job generators. And what are these 10 job generators? Construction, trade, miscellaneous services include estate brokerage, transport and storage, education, business service, hotel and restaurants, gems, jewelry and manufacturing, food processor products, beverages and tobacco, financial services, health and social work. These are the 10 most important things, important sectors that contribute for the total employment of the economy. Then the sectoral shares also, you can see that how much we have got from the manufacturing overall and construction and mining. That is from the service. Then this data belongs to the 2015-16. And this is all about the total employment structure and the sectoral contribution to the total employment of the